Hey there, everybody. It is Friday, and that means another Blacklist video. D-Spectre in the comments suggested we call these Black Fridays.
Welcome to Black Fridays, everybody.
Here we are, the good kind of Black Friday. By the way, we also have Blacklist discussions now on Tuesday. We're doubling up on the coverage.
Yeah, if you missed our video on Wednesday, we dropped like a special impromptu video because... man, I just really like talking about this show. And so doing it once a week, we're now kind of finding ourselves going through withdrawal where we were like, is it Friday yet? Is it Friday yet? Is it Friday yet? So we decided that we're going to, throughout the summer, not only give you one on Fridays, but also on Tuesdays. So just know that they are coming.
So this video is about one of the probably most discussed topics in the world of this show over the past year or two, and that is Reddington's illness. We know he has it, but we don't know a lot more other than that.
Yeah, it seems like sometimes he's perfectly fine and he's still flying all over the world, and other times he's coughing up blood and it's really serious. So we're going to talk a bit about that, about what it could be. Is the treatment actually working like Dembe suggested? There's a lot to get into when it comes to Reddington's illness. I wore my red shirt today.
In his honor.
For Reddington.
Of course. And if you guys do want to support us further, just hit that subscribe button, be a part of our Blacklist journey here as we all slowly continue the march towards season 9.
Also follow us over on Instagram at Matt and Jess TV. Matt made some cookies last night. And then he put some ice cream in them. And then he sandwiched them together in a delicious ice cream cookie sandwich. And we've got some pictures up there.
There is absolutely nothing that can go wrong with this other than getting chocolate and or ice cream everywhere.
100% worth it. 10 out of 10.
Okay, 10 out of 10. Okay, you know what's not a 10 out of 10? The Blacklist handling of Reddington's illness over the years.
I agree. It sort of feels like it shows up here and there and then it just completely disappears. And for a man who has said in the finale that he's dying, it's very strange that it's kind of here and there and like what is actually going on with this? That you are so close to death's door that you are going to ask Liz to kill you, that's how close you are to death.
It's a difficult thing to sort of say, okay, how much do we really know about this? We have seen some incidents involving Reddington. We have seen that he's on a good bit of medication. We have seen Dembe suggest that it might be getting better, ?
Yeah, like you said, we've seen the medication, we've seen him coughing up blood, we've seen him fall to the ground, and we've now also seen Dembe say, hey, I think the treatment's working, or you seem to be getting better, or something along those lines, where it's just like, okay, so we've gotten like 4 or 5 references to it, and then it was confirmed by Reddington in the finale that he's dying. And that is all we have gotten in 8 seasons. Like, is this an illness that has popped up since, he turned himself in? Or did he turn himself in, he was already sick? Like, how long has this actually been going on for?
That is a good starting off point, I think, in everything. Because there's never been a point on the show where Reddington suddenly gets a call from his doctor and is like, this is something you've been diagnosed with. So I don't know if he was either asymptomatic at the start of the show. I don't know if it had actually started to rear its head, but I believe that he knew that this was something that could be coming at the time that he turned himself in.
Yeah, I mean, it just, again, it all sort of depends on what it is. Like, what has happened? What is this illness that if he knew about it when he turned himself in 8 years ago, how has it progressed to the point that he's dying? That in these 8 years, there was nothing that could be done? It depends what it is, right?
Yeah. And the fact that it's also been 8 years is another interesting question here, because then we start to get into the what kind of diseases last for 8 years, but at the same time also do not kill you within that span of time, because this is obviously not some rapidly spreading virus or something like that. It doesn't seem to be contagious.
Or it could be something that, he got and then he was able to deal with it either through surgery or through treatment, and then it came back more aggressively, like a cancer.
Yeah. Like, cancer is a pretty fair estimation just because of the fact that it does seem to come and go a little bit.
It can, yeah.
Yeah, it can, and it feels like it's something that, people battle it for many, many years on end.
Yeah, it can, and then when it, it also can come back very aggressively later on and kill you within weeks.
I think one of the big clues that it could be something along this line is just that it doesn't seem like anyone has like some for sure treatment for it, because Reddington, if he's got a lot of money, he's got an incredible amount of resources.
Yes.
I think if this was something that had kind of a clearly defined quote unquote cure, wouldn't he have had it by now?
There is no cure for cancer, and we all know that. There is treatments and there are surgeries and there are things that you can do, but I mean, cancer is the absolute worst. It's just a horrible, evil disease.
I've seen some theories online saying that maybe it's a form of tuberculosis. I'm no doctor. I will point that out from the get-go. I am not. No, I'm not surprising a lot of people out here, but
Shocking.
My internet research of symptoms, which is, by the way,
Google MD.
If you ever are actually sick, don't do this, but looking at
don't do this. We are not doctors, and we are saying don't Google your symptoms.
Yeah, but I Googled the symptoms for tuberculosis, and there were some of them that were, coughing up blood. There were some of them that were kind of associated with some of the things that we've seen with Reddington. And I saw that, there can be a lot of different medication that can be used in order to treat it. I mean, it's not something I would necessarily rule out entirely.
The thing that I'm struggling with a bit here is that if he had this illness since the beginning of the show, it feels like a good, 3, 4, 5 seasons, they haven't really mentioned it at all. Yeah. Not at all. So what is going on here? That's the biggest part of it. For me, that makes me wonder if it's maybe at that point it was in some sort of remission, or he didn't have it and it's something that came up later, that the storyline, it hasn't been here since the beginning.
I think this is something, if we like to expand this outward, that a lot of Blacklist fans get annoyed by, which is you're introducing stuff to us, 6 or 7 years in that you've been acting as though has been important this whole time. Like, Ilya Koslov shows up after Rosbed, and we're supposed to believe, this is Reddington's lifelong friend. Well, where the heck has he been?
Yeah, or they introduce stories that then just disappear.
Yeah.
Like Wrestler's Pill Problem. Where did that go? That just poof up into smoke, for no reason.
Yeah, so it's hard to really know, when the writers intentioned this, when they kind of wanted it to be a part of the show or not. There's a case to be made that it could have been a motivator if Reddington knew he was on a ticking clock, that maybe he needed to, start this process with Liz sooner rather than later, and it could have been why he actually kicked this off in the first place.
Yeah, it could have been. I mean, the issue then is if he was really on a clock and it wasn't 8 years long, then he would have had to have come straight in and be like, hey, Liz, I know you don't know me, but we're going to the bunker and we're going right now because you need to know what's going on, because I'm not going to be making it through much more than this.
Another theory that that we've heard out there is that maybe this is a side effect or an after effect of Reddington being poisoned seasons ago. And once again, I'm no doctor. I am also no apothecary. I have no understanding of poison and how it works and how it lingers.
No, that is something that we do not know over here. But I would assume that people get poisoned and people get better. I mean, just in general, I think it depends on what the poison is. If you don't do this, by the way, but if you happen to accidentally drink something like a cleaner or something like that, you could be okay and go to poison control and get better. But, are there going to be lingering side effects from that? Maybe. Again, it depends on what it is, right?
Yeah. I don't think it's the poison. It's just, to me, it feels like if it was the poison, why wouldn't Reddington just say, this poison really beat the you-know-what out of me. It's still affecting me.
That's the thing that I think is the most frustrating about this, and that's why there's a part of me that feels like Blacklist writers, you guys know that I love you, but that maybe you don't actually know what this illness is, and that you're just throwing in an illness that has symptoms that could be multiple things. But you guys love to not actually tell us what important things actually are. So, do they know what the illness is? I don't know that they do.
Maybe it is new creationitis, which is just something that
pretendinitis
that they've just sort of thrown out there. Hey, we don't know what the symptoms are. We're just making up our own disease for it now.
Yeah, I mean, that's also the frustrating thing of it is if you're going to introduce this illness, like, you need to have, like, tell us where at least it began. Like you said, did he come in to be arrested knowing he already had it? If that's the case, then why no real hints of this for many seasons?
We're starting to think about season 9, and that'll be here in a matter of months. And the thing that I'm kind of concerned about here for Reddington is it seemed like completing this 30-year project, having Liz on board, protecting her, like that was a driving force for him. And I don't know if this is the case with him, but I know a lot of people who are sort of battling a long-term illness, they kind of look at their family, they look at people close to them as motivation to keep fighting. If Liz is gone, does he lose that motivation now, and does he just deteriorate rapidly?
Yeah, I don't know, right? Because he does still have Agnes to live for, he has Dembe to live for, he's got himself to live for. Liz is part of this 30-year project, but Reddington is older than 30.
Yes.
So there are other things in his life that I think he will continue to live for. But it is true that when you do have a motivation or you have a focus and you are ill or terminally ill, that something like that can help sort of focus the mind and the spirit. And the spirit is a very important thing. That's why one of the things, we talked about this in another video of what could be coming up for Reddington going into season 9, that one of the things that might continue to lift his spirit back up is the idea of having a Reddington and Dembe sort of bucket list of all these things that he wants to do before he passes. And again, that could lift his spirit so that it could help keep his body healthy. So maybe he can fight it even longer.
I think Dembe is totally going to be in that role because he's going to know that Reddington is so devastated, and once again, I'm no expert on diseases here, but I would feel like if your mind is just mentally distraught, it's probably going to bring out some of the symptoms worse, because when you're stressed, you tend to get sick a lot faster and a lot easier.
I'm just gonna say straight out that I don't like this illness story. I never have. It doesn't feel like it pushes the story further ahead in any kind of way. They just didn't need it. Even when Liz sort of figured out that Reddington was sick, wasn't any motivation to stop her from doing what she was doing. His illness hasn't been the motivation, at least as far as we all know, since the beginning of this series for him to turn himself in. We don't know that. It just wasn't introduced until so much later, and I have found that it has not pushed the story forward in any real significant way. He could be this healthy criminal that we all love, and it would have been the same story. This illness story hasn't really changed anything.
Even with the finale and sort of looking back at that, like, Reddington doesn't need to be sick even in order to convince Liz to shoot him.
Nope.
He could have just been motivated based, once again, on his own need to protect her, that this could be the only way.
And that was the motivation.
Yeah.
He straight up was like, okay, yeah, I'm dying anyways, but this needs to happen so that Liz becomes this, like, really important figure in the criminal world. It wouldn't have mattered to him if he was dying or not dying. Whatever needs to get done, gets done. And that's why, for me, this illness story has always been one of the weakest stories in this whole overall arc.
I just hope we get something on it. I don't want this to be a situation where the premiere happens and then they just forget about it for another few months.
No, you guys take your pretendinitis and get out of here with it. Just wrap it up. Let Dembe be right. There's a treatment is working. Great. Let's all move forward.
All right. And with that in mind, I am about to advise everyone to do something that I would never advise to do in any other situation. Put on your imaginary lab coats, everyone, and let us know what you guys think Reddington is suffering from.
But don't Google MD anything.
Don't Google MD anything. Don't go and start, diagnosing other people with any of this.
Or yourselves, or anything like that.
But just give us your ideas. Give us your theories on where this is going. And also, hit that subscribe button and check our review for American Horror Stories from earlier this week.
Yes, it premiered this week. It was really good. If you're a fan of the original series, this spin-off is good, and it will do you good. You will really like it.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you here next time.